Face pissed off, miss shit off course. Which way shit's going? Spent too much time in hibernation. Sleep, what went wrong? Things changed from lift off up until the destination was reached. Mind and body weak, gone from the stress on the brain. Lost in the void of space. What does it really takes to stay sane and maintain stability? Is this really me floating in the maze haze of what will I? Could I? Who should I be? Am I destined to weep and cry my life away for all the wrong mistakes I made and take the blame? Damn, this shit is so insane. Just wanna flow free like a river into the ocean. Not headed what for the fucking drain. Life caught up in disarray. System malfunctioning. Made days instead of paydays. Red light blinking. Thinking, where's the green? Hoping this is a dream. It only seems to be a nightmare. Scared, pure fear of the unknown. Where's here? Do you know what I mean? Journeys through the galaxies at light speed. Please, just catch me.
Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished.
Yeah, I'm ready for liftoff, like a hooper when it's tip-off. Yeah, I'm ready to score, ready for war. Polishing my floor so I can shine like a diamond in the store. I sparkle like the son of Allah, creating rain, hail, and earthquakes, the God in the flesh. And they say God makes no mistakes. From natural disaster to calm and laughter, I'm balancing the scales like a yin-yang master. Emotional intelligence is energy intelligence. The wise use the mind to align with the elements. Health is a benefit. Treat the body like a temple. They creating viruses to end you. State to state, new mandates are taking place. World's using faith as the government vaccinates. Hard to keep your head on straight in this world of the snakes. Reptilians pose as heads of state and Congress. You gotta shine on regardless. Glow amongst the godless, rise in Christ conscious. Free yourself from mental bondage and let there be carnage to the dragon, the beast, and harlot. In Revelation, I got the heart of a gladiator. Lightsaber like Luke and Darth Vader. Training like a Jedi Knight to fight ops to get the crowd jumping like a New Year's ball drop. Let's go!
Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that.
Y'all couldn't hear me, but y'all can hear me now. Peace, power, prosperity, Rob Blackstorm. I'm back. I'm back. Fresh out of UTL. Fresh out of YouTube jail. That's right. They had your boy. I was locked up. They wouldn't let me out for a week. Said I did something with hate speech. It wasn't my video, it was somebody's video that I posted. But I'm back. Happy to be back. I have a very, very special guest. I have someone who is a CEO, who is all selling on who is a best-selling specialist of magic, mysticism, money. I think this is going to be one of the classic ones that we have. And without further ado, there's so many accolades. We're going to talk about it that I can't even remember. There's so many accolades that Miss Emme Rain has. And we're going to bring on the legend, Emme Rain. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is my pleasure and an honor to finally have you. As I've been saying, I appreciate you giving me your time. Wow, you know, I feel like I have watched you come from, where you came from to where you are now, to where you were just, first doing your rituals to now you've become a mogul in mysticism, right? You've been, I don't want to pocket watch, but I know, you've hit that millionaire status with your mysticism and things like that. I know you talk about it proudly. I've seen some of the toys that you have. And, a lot of people that go down, I guess I want to start like this, a lot of people coming into this knowledge, coming into this wisdom, right? One of the first two things I've noticed is that people want two things. They want money and they want love, right? Why do you think those are the first two things that people want when they come into this understanding of magic and manifestation?
Well, when you think about how real life carries us, you can't live a single day without money. You need it for bills, you need it for food, you need it for transportation. Your family, if you have anyone that you love, 9 times out of 10, they're going to need it from you sometimes. So a lot of people who come in, they're coming in from a space where whatever they have is not sufficient. And then when you think about love, most of us start our journey with love at 3 and 4 years old, our first crushes and things like that. So there is a drive inside of us to feel a connection with other people. And sometimes we have a lot of people around us, but that don't mean we have a lot of connections. And so a lot of people come in with that part of their lives being empty as well.
Definitely. And when it comes to money manifestation, right? Someone who is down and out, right? Coming from the bottom, so to speak, trying to figure it out, trying to put it together. What would you say is the first step that they should take on their mystical journey?
Well, the first thing is clarity, always clarity. I think that most of the people I encounter, at least in the beginning, when they'll tell me that they have needs, but they don't know exactly what they need. And especially when it comes to money, which is the easiest thing to kind of sit down and put together. They know they need their bills paid, but they don't know the total balance on bills. They don't know where their credit is. They don't know all of these details that is very physical and very carnal, and it don't feel spiritual. But spiritual is not woo-woo. It is high science applied to your real life. So one of the things I tell people is start with clarity. Know what you need and know what you desire. Because if I'm going to do magic anyway, why just do it to pay my light bill when I can do it to change my whole financial setup?
Yeah. Yeah. I found that when people want to manifest with, as far as manifesting money, right? Oftentimes people try to manifest from a spirit or a mindset of lack. For instance, you might want to manifest a new car or a new home, but at the same time, you're doing the so-called math, right? You got the bay leaf, you got the cinnamon, you got the nutmeg, you might have the green candle, but in your mind, you don't really believe, or you might have a poverty mindset. Now, people will also say, right, I worship Jesus, and if I pray, the same things will manifest. Right, the same thing will manifest the person who has the bay leaf, who has the, all these other things. Talk to us about the difference between the two and how both can still be effective as well.
Okay. So I spent 18 years as a preacher prior to this. And there is a huge difference between putting the power outside of yourself and then tapping into the power that's inside yourself. And that really is the difference between independent spirituality and any organized religion, Christianity or otherwise. And so when you're working with an energy from a subservient or underling type of energy, so let's say Christianity, you are susceptible to Jesus. You're supposed to serve God through him, and he's like this conduit. So when you're worshiping or when you're doing work, because there are people who practice just pure witchcraft who do the same thing with other deities. It's just not the God of the Bible. But anytime you're doing it from a subservient area, you gotta be able to turn something over to this being that you're believing in that's worth whatever it is you're asking for. You're at their mercy. And I think that while that can alleviate some things for us, it's easier when we have someone to look to and to also blame. But it's faster when you start tapping into what's already there. All of us, and this is one of the reasons why I hate the slave narrative, especially for Black people, because it's damning. When we start talking to Black people about ancestors, they start imagining slavery and hardships and poverty and this and that and the third. That was a small part of a very rich, very deep, very ancient history. Within all of our ancestry, there's all kind of ingenuity, all sorts of dreams that went unfulfilled. You can activate that within your own DNA so that you can build something from yourself, and then you work with other energies as a partner. So I'm partnering with Ganesha to keep my roads open. I'm partnering with Lakshmi to help me grow spiritually and financially. And that's the difference. Either you're the servant or you're the partner.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Now, when you talk about you're either a servant or a partner, what would you say is the distinct features that separate the two?
Well, one of them is when you come under constant judgment. So I know on Facebook you might probably have seen this a lot, but people will say, don't make the God mad, or don't make this energy angry. It's like dancing to somebody else's drum. And what happens when you miss a step? If you serve this God, then you know a punishment is coming. You just displease your master or displease your Lord. And so he's either going to turn away from you or he's going to take something from you. And you can't separate that from that servant mentality. So you kind of are dancing a jig for your food, and you're dancing a jig for your home. You know, it's constant entertainment, so to speak.
Yeah, you constantly are. Yeah, you constantly have to do something, right? You're definitely a servant, right?
Right.
And a lot of times people come into this when we talk about quote unquote the occult or the esoteric, when you're looking beyond the veil of organized religions. A lot of people think that, you know, if I gotta make sure Oshun has, 5 oranges. If she doesn't, if it's only 4, she's gonna be mad. Like, they think that when you talk about mysticism, or you're talking to a deific energy, that they have human emotions. Like, they have these human frailties, like anger, like they're going to be upset or they're going to be jealous if you put one next to another, right? And that all comes from organized religion, as we both know. What do you think is... We have, let's switch subjects a little bit. We're in a technological age right now. Actually, let's talk about this. The bank situation, right? That's happening. A lot of people, are very nervous right now with the banks changing, these banks closing, and, people are thinking that the money's going to change. I think the money's going to change, go digital sometimes this year, if not early next year. A lot of people are trying to figure out where to put their money, what to do about their money. Are they going to lose their money, et cetera, et cetera? Are these fears rational or irrational for the mind of a mystic?
They're purposeful. They're planned. Everything that is reported to us is what someone who controls media wants us to see or hear. And so that's the first thing. That they need to realize that they're being given a narrative. And so here's the reality. And this is one of the things that I teach my money mentees that's very important. Having money, cash itself, is not sufficient, because they can devalue and they can boost the value or devalue the dollar whenever they get ready. I mean, it's constantly being weighed against everybody else's currency. So why do you want money? And that's the second part of it, to get assets. Land is never going to be, more land is never going to be made. They can do anything they want, take currency digital, keep it physical, do some kind of collective, hybrid of the two. But if you own property, that's your property. If you own things that's going to accumulate in value, sometimes it's artwork, sometimes it's all kinds of collections and digital currency. I think that people should do both. I think that people should get involved now and start learning. I hate that I got involved with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies really late. And a lot of people, when it went down, they ran completely out of it when they didn't realize that surge was unsustainable, right? It didn't have the power to be sustained, but it did bring it into our reality, even people who weren't even thinking about it. And the reality is, we cannot sustain an economy as big as the world economy has come without a lot of digital opportunities for people. You need digital currency, you need digital processors and different things like that, some kind of way to bring all this stuff together, but that also makes you vulnerable. So even if you do get cryptocurrency, you still need to master assets. You need things that's going to hold their value, that is real and tangible, that you can hold in your hands. And I'm not talking about a green dollar.
Definitely. Yeah. I was watching something where they were talking about gold, and even when things fell, like during the 2020, people were pulling their money out of gold because when everything falls, you still need to have cash in hand. So I think you want to also have some, like you said, have some tangible assets, because land isn't going anywhere. So you always need land and some cash on hand just in case. Something happens where you just have to, exchange hard currency, because you never know. You can't hand gold to people, to buy bread or orange juice or medicine. That gold is in your, your way station, so to speak, or you have it in that your IRA and things like that. That's not going to cut it. So you definitely want to have some cash in hand. I think that's valuable as well, along with the cryptocurrencies, because I think that's going to be a big surge as well.
Yeah.
And talk to us, what do you think about the two concepts? A little fun, twin flame and soulmate. Do you think people have twin flames? Do you think people have soulmates? Or is it all just a bunch of Valentine's Day hogwash to sell people magical oils and other trinkets, right? And hearts and cupids and things like that. Are soulmates real? Are twin flames real? And if so, what's the difference between the two?
You trying to get me in trouble. So when the public gets stuff, it gets convoluted quickly. Starting with soulmates. Soulmates is really, if you've ever been around someone and you know that there's something familiar about their energy, you've never seen their face, that kind of thing. A lot of times when people talk about soulmates, they think about it strictly in the terms of love, but that's not what that is. We're talking about soul families, soul pods, if you will. They travel together, they embody together. There's a relationship there that supersedes this body and this time and now. So soulmates, from that perspective, is real. Soulmates and something else, and some kind of energetic, let me say it like this, I'm gonna just be real. So this is what I tell people. Even if you in a prior lifetime were with this energy and you've spent many lifetimes with them, nothing in the world is telling you have to do it again this lifetime. You can choose a new, experience. So I don't believe that there's any energy that we have to embody with and have to have a loving and romantic relationship with. I think that that's a cop-out. And that brings me to twin flames, which is a worse cop-out. There are energies that share soul origins. There are energies that share a flame of sorts, but it has nothing to do with love and pain and all of the things that's being given to people. Twin flames are beings that resonate from the same oversoul. It's not romantic. It can be romantic, but it's not often romantic, and it's not karmic. It is two beings coming together because they need to be together to do whatever it is that they need to do. So they move in and out of singularity and separation, in and out for their purpose. It has nothing to do with them hurting you and breaking your heart.
So the fire and the flame is more so passion, right? But that passion can be unbridled, or it could be passion because you're attracted to that person because you need to take that to the next step.
Right.
You were talking about the oversoul. What is the oversoul? You speak about that a lot in your lives. What exactly is the oversoul? A definition of an oversoul.
So it is your purest, highest, most divine self without borders or boundaries. It is you without a body, you outside of time, you outside of space. It's so if you can imagine a bowl, and that bowl is pure essence, pure energy. There are times when essence is poured from that bowl into some vessel or another for purpose. So the vessel is indeed, I guess you could say, a vehicle of the essence. And some people, we identify so much with the body that it's hard to even realize there's something else. And so that energy is always present with us. And if you think about your own thoughts and how sometimes you learn, you can feel the essence of that energy pouring down. You can feel the conversation. We think it's our mind, but there's limitations. Your mind can tell you something that you have never been exposed to. At that point, you're in connection or a conversation with something else. And so a lot of times in church, we call it the Holy Spirit. The reality is it is just our high self without all the borders and boundaries of this physical incantation. I love it. I love teaching oversoul, but some people call it higher self. There's a difference, but I don't want to get into that.
No, go ahead. That's what we're here for. Go ahead. What's the difference between the higher self and oversoul?
So the oversoul is ultimate you, right? There are many yous and versions of you that kind of coalesce in different places and different times. So if this is me and my body, and I'm just working with my higher self, that could be me here, 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 here. You know, it could be me here and here, here and here. There's so many different, because you exist on many dimensions and many realms, sometimes at the same time, and at times you can feel it. So when you start dealing with your higher self, you're just dealing with a version of you that has already mastered whatever you're going through right now. But if you want guidance throughout your life to be really, truly successful, you want to tap into your divine ultimate self. So I just go straight to the oversoul. No point in playing around, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah. The oversoul to me, Emme Rain, I always say the soul is water. And because water is in everything, right? Even the universe, they don't call it that, but dark energy is 70% of the universe. The body is 70% water. The earth is over 70% water. So there's a correlation between all these elements, and all the same numbers seem to correlate together. So when the oversoul is like everything everywhere all at once. I don't know if you saw the movie, or Ant-Man Quantumania, where all these different versions of you exist in different galaxies or exist in different planes. So the oversoul is basically you capturing all of them, but the higher self could just be you tapping into, let's say, the Benjamin Banneker of your bloodline, right? Or the George Washington Carver of your bloodline, right? But you might need to tap into the nigger in your bloodline, or the situation, right? Or the con artist, or the dude that rolled dice, right? And was slick when they were to peep everybody's intentions. So you might not need to tap into the higher self. You might need to tap into the oversoul to catch that particular energy when it's needed. That makes sense?
That does make sense. I love how you explained it.
Thank you. I've been watching your videos for a long time, so I'm learning from the best, you know. Now, what I want to talk about is, so we talked about love. We talked about a little bit about money. What do you think about the technological age? You know, a lot of people are scared of AI. They're scared artificial intelligence is coming, taking jobs. You know, I remember here in New York, you know, Uber greatly transformed the yellow taxi industry. You know, even though it wasn't AI, it was another form of industry that came in and took over. It's the same as when, you know, the car replaced the horse and buggy to me. What do you think about AI and how it ties into magic and mysticism overall?
Well, when you think about it, the computer systems as a whole are modeled after the human body. The highest technology on the planet is still the body. And so everything about how they wire things, wireless connectivity, all these things are modeled after how we are designed ourselves. I think that it's inevitable. And one of the things I hate is that people believe that their fears can serve them at all in mysticism or spirituality, and that we don't catch patterns. Like you said, it's like when the car took over for the horse and buggy. We've been here before, and we're going to go here over and over again. There will be ages that come in strong, that's going to die out, and new ages are going to be born, and that's a part of the mystic cycle. So it's better to be in a position where you understand the technology and understand how to tap into it. If you ever been to a casino since you've been into mysticism, you can feel the energy of that machine. I know when one is going to hit. And since then, I ain't never really lost my shirt at a casino, because I can feel when it's ready, and I can feel when it's cold. It's like we already have been connected to and dealing with our devices like that. So I don't think you should fear it. I do think, though, it's going to change things. I remember when people were talking about Mexicans coming into the United States real heavy in 1990 something. And black people was like, oh, we ain't gonna have no jobs. And it's just like, they're not taking jobs you want in the first place. You know, you're choosing fear rather than looking for the opportunity. Every time something else is coming in, there's an opportunity, and you have to see it without judgment so that you can grab it and move with it.
Definitely. Yeah. You know, life is going to evolve. There's no stopping evolution. There's no stopping life's growth. The thing is, you have to, and I think part of being a magician and part of understanding magic is also understanding the tides, right? That's part of tapping into the oversoul, tides of change, and learning how to adapt, you know, be like water, so to
Yeah.
speak, be like water. Water fits in a cup, it becomes a circle. If you put it in a cube, it becomes a cube, right? If you put it wherever you put water, it will adapt to whatever is going on. So part of magic, part of tapping into that oversoul is tapping into that flow of energy, tapping into where it's going. So if it's going into AI, then you have to learn about AI. If it's going into crypto, if it's going into the metaverse, you have to
Yeah.
learn about these things. And it's all about constantly learning and constantly improving and constantly becoming educated.
Yeah.
Uh, as far as you know, there's people, Emme Rain, that are very knowledgeable, right, in spirituality. They read a lot of books. They've studied a lot of things. They are very eloquent with their speech and their delivery about magic. And you have some people who just have a knowing, right? They're not very well read. They may be, quote unquote, a country bumpkin or somebody who lives by the sea, so to speak, but they still are in tune with nature and magic. Uh, what do you think? Is there something that separates the two, or is one of the other doing too much or not doing enough?
Well, okay, so I'll say it this way. I think that people who are studied sometimes can develop a little bit of elitism with what they know. And I love knowledge. I'll always be one to gather knowledge, but I think that simplicity is always best. You know, if you can't break it down to a third grader or a fourth grader, you may have become convoluted in that knowledge. Now, from a perspective, we are all energetic beings. So magic is the manipulation or movement of energy. Everybody does it. But people who are not aware sometimes don't do it well and create a whole bunch of mess. You know, it's like if I create chaos or if I create peace, I still created it. So I think that people who learn, they are trying to tap into or understand what's there, and that's important. But I don't think that we can discount those who just naturally have it, because I've met people who naturally have it, and as soon as you start trying to educate them about what they have, it throws them off
Yeah,
because they are intuitive. They need freedom of flow. They can't do it here.
right, right. Yeah, I think those people, the people who are, well, I can't. I'm not to compare the two, but I think the people that naturally get it is
Mhm.
something simple and a calmness about them to where they're not trying to do too much, so to speak. It's
Mhm.
almost effortless. It's freedom. Like I always say, I trust the people who dress spiritually less than the
Yeah,
people who don't. You know, people who wear the robes and all that. You got to prove it to me, right? If you
yeah,
wear 1,000 crystals, you got to really prove it. I'd rather you come to me and a sweatsuit or a tennis outfit and you talk to me like about mysticism, then you come to me with the holy robe, so to speak, and the
right,
big hat and everything. Uh, but yeah, I think there's book knowledge is great, but having a sense and being tapped into the earth is really what mysticism is about, being tapped into nature. And nature will give you what you need in the simplest form.
right.
I remember the story of Jesus, being in the temple at 13, even though we're not tapped into Christianity, but there's still a lesson that some children and some people are just prodigies. They just got it, right?
Yeah,
They're just born to get it and born to deliver certain messages and create certain things. So we
right.
can't discount people because they might not be as learned or because they might not say certain, $5 words, so to speak, that they don't have the same knowledge and wisdom because you can learn from anyone.
Right.
Um,
That's true.
this is a information economy, and a lot of people out here are dropping knowledge, dropping wisdom. What would you say is how do you separate people that you should listen to versus people that you shouldn't listen to? Or should you just listen to everybody? What do you think?
Some people can listen to everybody. Like you could listen to anybody, and because you know how to pick the meat and throw the bone away. But some people, they hadn't grown to that place yet. So one of the things I teach is proof of power. That's been my thing since I came out. Proof of power is if you're gonna approach me to teach me about money, I need to know that you got some, and you can't be scared to show me that. You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about fixing my credit, I need to know that you at least got a 700.
Right.
If you're at 550, you don't need to be worrying about me, and so proof of power is a big thing. If you tell me you can heal cancer, I need to see that somewhere. Even if you've never had cancer, you need to be able to show proof. So we're in a time where people do everything to prove a point and then turn around and say, I don't owe nobody no explanation.
Do your own research.
What are we doing then?
Right.
So it's important that you take time and do your due diligence. If one thing I have learned is that people who don't like to be questioned and people who don't like to provide proof and don't like that interaction with people, they usually have something to hide, or there's a lack of competence maybe. And here's the other side of it, because if we're real, if my light bill is due and I understand the basics of credit repair, I can understand trying to launch a credit repair business, but we have to be prepared for what we're going to do, right? So if these are some things you know how to do, go on and work on your credit. Show proof of how you raised it 10 points and how you raised it 30 points, that kind of thing. Because also it's okay to turn your expertise into a hustle. There's people who do hair and they be looking raggedy as hell, because they're always doing other people's hair. So there are times and moments where but you'll find that in your due diligence. Hustlers always got a new hustle every day. They got something different going on, because hustle don't provide long-term wealth. It just gives you boost and momentary gratification, but there is nothing being built, no foundation in just pure hustle. But people who really believe in what they're doing, there's some staying power there. And I also believe that the longer they've been in it, the more they should have to show you of what they've accomplished with what they're saying they can do.
Definitely. What do you think about the aliens? The mothership is coming, right? The news said the mothership is coming, even though Dr. York and, Elijah Muhammad said there was a mothership 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Right now, the news said it, so now the mothership is here. I don't know. I don't understand, right? But what do you think about the news, the alien news, the Pentagon saying the mothership's over Alaska? What do you think about that?
I think that, do you remember Barack Obama's presidency? One day he was giving a speech and he said, of course there's aliens. We all know that. And I'm thinking, we didn't all just know until you just...
Right. That wasn't common knowledge, right?
Right. Like it was just yesterday's news, but we do know that, and I like to say that I don't believe it's anything necessarily coming. It's always been with us. It's always been present. The cycles of nature is repeated all around the cosmos, and beings that's able to move in these cosmos and others, of course they exist. I mean, you look at the origin of life on this planet and the many origin stories, it's almost proven that most of us come from different places. That's how we got certain races and things like that. So I believe that there's a showing up because there's a changing of the guard. So the old guard, the old system, that era is dead, and there's this birthing of a new era, and we're lucky enough to live to see it.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially with Pluto going into Aquarius now, planet of death, transformation and rebirth, and Aquarius, the collective, the individual as well, coming into the collective with their own gifts. So it's an exciting time to be alive. I know your history, but talk to the people about your history. Who is Emme Rain? You come from, your background is I'm trying to think of the adjective, but it is a collage of many different things. And to see from where you came from to where you are now, it's definitely a story worth telling. Yeah, talk to us about who you are and how you came from, Lucretia Hayes to Emme Rain, the magical mystic, right? It's a hell of a journey.
It is. So I grew up in Warren, Arkansas. It's like 7,000 people. We don't even have a Walmart. Everything is closed by 10 o'clock except the day and night. So I came from a little place like that, and I was born into dysfunction. My dad had 63 kids, right? And my oldest brother was also my cousin. So that's the span of just to kind of highlight how it is when you come from some form of dysfunction. My father most definitely wasn't there. He was still making children. And my mother was only partially there. So my grandmother raised me. But I was lucky enough that I came from a family of very, very intelligent people. So I was smart. And I also was raised by a Taurus. And the reason why I bring that up is because Taurus energy is very self-sufficient. And I'm grateful for that. But when I was growing up, I got started early. I had my son at 15 years old. I had turned 15 2 weeks before he was born. And then I had a second baby at 16. And then, and the story goes on. And I ended up catching a bunch of felonies, and I sold drugs, and I've been to the feds, and I've been to state prison, the whole thing. And eventually what happened, and I've been a preacher for 18 years. I was a preacher for 18 years, and I started churches, and I traveled the country, and I worked with RAIN for rape, abuse, and incest national network to help combat domestic violence and sexual abuse.
If I may, not to interrupt your story, how did you go from hustling, selling drugs, right, being in the streets, to being in the feds and all that, right, getting locked up multiple times, to go into the church?
So part of it was I knew that there was something spiritual all my life. I've always been in search of, and I'm a Scorpio, but I've always been in search of that extra essence that you can feel all around you. And I'm grateful for my time in church, because organized religion has its benefits. It's like school, and you graduate out on to college. But the time came where I was really tired of being depressed. I have tried to kill myself multiple times. And I was manically, chronically depressed through most of my life. And so I ended up going to church because my next door neighbor was going to this church, and me and her had gotten close. And within a month, my pastor was talking to me about getting into leadership because he saw the intellect. And that whole process was a slow transition, because my number one issue was not the hustle, it was the temper, and it was the anger and the rage. And so just because I was in church didn't heal the anger or the destructive nature that I had. So I was in church fighting still, in church stabbing people still, and I was asking for help, but people thought...
Wait, hold up. You stabbing them in church?
Yeah, I was married to a pastor who I stabbed twice.
Lord have mercy. God,
yeah, don't go. The ain't going just didn't go nowhere. It never went. And eventually, at one point I was thinking, these great things that I can do, this is because of God and the Holy Spirit. And then I started messing up again, and I realized that who I was didn't matter if I was pleasing this God or not. So I kind of ventured into Christian mysticism, following Paul off and Solomon off into some rabbit holes. Then I ended up into Jewish mysticism and then pure mysticism, but I was not ready for magic. What happened was, one of my friends, I was scrolling Facebook, and I seen her burning incense and smudging the house. And I'm like, what the prophetess over there doing, So I hit her up, and she started talking to me about the 33rd degree and all kind of stuff I ain't never really heard about. And I started the magical journey to debunk it, that it was devil worship, like most of us have been taught. And I found myself really at home with the truth. Quick order.
And so that's what got you into mysticism. So is there a particular form? Like, do you follow voodoo, hoodoo? Do you mix it? Ifa? Like, what would you say is your tradition? Or is it just a hodgepodge of all of them together?
I'm an everything type girl. When I jumped out the cliff into the water, I was like, I'm swimming this whole fucking ocean. Because, you know, when I was in Christianity, I was really committed to the knowledge of it. You know, I had issues with the operation of it, but the knowledge was my big thing. And so when all of this was presented to me, from ancestors to hoodoo to voodoo to Ifa to Lukumi to Santeria, to native belief systems, and there are many of those, I wanted to understand all of it. And I look for the themes, the repeating themes, because normally, if you hear something twice, it could still be a lie. But if you start finding people who are separated by eons of time and all this space, who never had any real connection to each other, telling you the same story, then you can kind of trust that there's something there, even if it's not exactly the way they interpreted it. So I practice everything.
Yeah, got you. You're a true Scorpio. You know, Scorpio gang in the house. Shout out to Hollywood Vegeta in the chat. We Scorpio gang. And all the other Scorpios out here. But yeah, we tend to not stick in one particular pattern. Yeah, I don't think we're the type of people that like to be bogged. We don't like cages. We don't like controls over us. You know, we want to do what we want to do, and we will honor the path, but the path has to be honorable. If not, yeah, we're gonna keep it pushing. So yeah, definitely understand that. Emme Rain, I want to talk. What are the talk to us about money magic, and what do you need to be like a master manifester such as yourself? You know, I look at you, and again, like I said, I know your journey, so I look at you as a master manifester, especially in the spiritual space. You know, a lot of people, they want to do this type of work. They want to be able to make money teaching spirituality, or make money helping others. What type of ideas or suggestions would you give, and what does that look like, you know, as part of, what did that look like in your journey? Like, what type of, you know, to go from a hustler to like a mystical mogul, that's a hell of a journey. You know, what does that look like in your mindset, and what would that look like for someone else coming from your background trying to do the same thing you're doing?
One of the biggest things is understanding that everything in this world is transactional, whether we want it to be or not. The first thing a lot of people really have to do is get over their obsession and shame concerning money. I have met some amazing people who have taught me a lot of things on this journey. I can't even shout out or name all of the YouTube video teachers and different things that I've dealt with. And I used to reach out to them, especially in the beginning, to offer my services, because it's like, you need to pull this together and present it to the world. People who do mysticism sometimes carry that same church mentality, and you know how that is. The pastor shouldn't be driving a BMW, or, you know, whatever the case may be, because you're in service to the people. But who feeds the one who serves the people? And you can't leave it up to the goodwill of the people. I had that experience in church, and I can tell you that people with the best heart usually have the least amount of money, because they got the best heart. And the ones with the money, they ain't studying you for real like that. If you ain't got something to exchange, they're not coming out their pocket, right? And that's okay. Once you stop judging the world, because shoulda or coulda or ought to be don't change nothing that is. So I'm a realist. I teach people that when you're looking to launch into this kind of lifestyle where you're going to be wealthy, which means you're going to bring certain energies towards you, you can't be a weakling. You have to be in a major mind up. So shadow work is a big one. Some people, all they do is badmouth money and badmouth millionaires and downplay them. So the first thing is, if that's really who you want to be and what you want to be more well off, you got to come out of a relationship where it's toxic with people who could teach you or show you the way. You got to come to a place where you understand that it's okay that I don't know how to get there, and it's okay that I seek help from other people. But the other thing about that is you also got to strengthen yourself, because others will come to shame you. I think that this is a prime time to build a spiritual business, but everybody is not going to meet with the same amount of success. So it's better for you to know what your numbers are and know where you're aiming at, so that you can build according to what you're seeking to do. I can be honest with you and tell you that it cost me a lot of sleepless nights to get to where I am. It caused me relationships. It was a long period of time where I didn't have just a real relationship. I had people in my life who I knew I wasn't going to commit to, and they knew I wasn't committed neither, so that we didn't have any of that struggle because I didn't have the space for it because I started from nothing. The other thing I would like to say to people who want to be wealthy is that you got to understand wealth is a numbers game. Some people have a whole lot of knowledge, but if you go to Facebook, they got 500 friends over there treating the Facebook like it's their bedroom. I don't want everybody in my Facebook. I don't want everybody on my TikTok. I want everybody looking at me. It's just like, if you want what you say you want, you have to get over something. Either get over the thing that you desire or get over this whole ideology of this privacy that none of us really even have in the first place. We just don't. Them 500 people still judging you. They judging you just as hard as 5,000 would. You got to pull the numbers to you. And some people struggle with that. They're terrified of being seen or being heard, but they do want a life of ease. For people like that, they have to create away from the limelight, away from spirituality. Your creative process may be investing or something else. But if you want it spiritually, you got to get over that fear of people and judgment.
Yeah, I think the path that you're on, is there really a life of ease though, right? Because I feel like you're very busy. I'm not where you are.
Uh-oh, we froze. I think we're froze. So just in case you guys can still hear me and Rob is working on something, I'll say this to you as well. Your financial situation, your spiritual situation, your love situation, all of that is really up to you. And I think that was the other thing I wanted to say. I think that we sometimes claim to be creators, but we don't own or wield our creative power. And we need to make sure that we are creating according to what's true and most authentic for us, according to the things that we want. You have to own your power if you really want to empower yourself to the tune of being happily, truly happily and securely in loving relationships, truly healed in your body, elevated finances where you're not living paycheck to paycheck and you can kind of go and come as you please. Money creates options. Health gives you the energy you need to enjoy those options. And love gives you companionship and witness to some of the best moments of your life. And that's why I think that those are the three primary things that most people are concerned with. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can get on here and see if it's still active. Let's see. Looks like it is. Okay, yeah, it's still active. Okay. While we wait on Rob to come back, um, he asked me earlier about working with energies and stuff like that. The first energy, the biggest energy. Oh, he's back! Yay! I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi went out. That's all right. I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad it's still up.
Yeah, I just started talking. I was like,
That's good. It looks good. Look, I will keep going. I'll be back when you finish. Keep going.
I was just saying that the biggest energy, the first energy that any of us should tap into when we start moving forward is the energy of ourselves, which includes our oversoul and our ancestors. If you could just start there, nothing else is necessarily required. Everything else is a choice. You know, you can choose to tap into other elements and essences, or you don't have to. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's what's up. That's what's up. Em, you want to take a couple of questions
Sure.
from the live? All right. Anybody got any questions? Drop them in the comments. We have Emme Rain here, the magical mystic mogul. Em, while we wait, tell us about some of the money deities that you work with, that you like to work with, that you think are effective.
Yeah.
You know, we're going into right now in the new year. A lot of people want to do things this summer, I'm sure, with their children, right? You know, family, friends. Talk to us about some of the money guys that you work with.
One of my first is, of course, Ganesha. He's a road opener. He's an obstacle destroyer. If you are coming from an uneven place where you have poverty, you have bad credit, all this stuff, you definitely want to include a road opening essence in your money work. And then after that, I love Lakshmi. I work with Fortuna because I want spiritual elevation to go along with the financial. And then Fortuna, because you need somebody that's kind of working with you to lead you into good fortune and opportunities. And so I love Planet, which is the demon of riches. And some people are not ready for that conversation. It's just a word. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's not a fact. It's just a word. But I love,
Yeah, you scared of talk to us real quick while you get into that. Demons. What's the spiritual? Because I've talked about this on my channel, but a lot of people are scared of demons. What's your idea or your take on demons, demonology?
they're
That's a
just
good one.
freedom fighters, chaos workers. They are pure creative power. If you look at the relationship between chaos and order, demons and angels are really like proponents of the two. Demons are proponents for chaos, which is where all creation comes from. And then you move from chaos into order, and angels represent order or direction and instruction, rigid structure and boundaries. And so you have the demons that, to me, I look at them like a womb, just a pure, beautiful place to give growth to or birth to something big and beautiful, or something small and personal. And angels, I look at, they represent, like, they show you what you've made. They show you the structure of what you made and help you put boundaries around what you're doing. And you need both things. But in reality, they're just energies. And most of the demons that Solomon gave name to are gods that existed and were dethroned by the God that came in with the God of the Bible. When people put that God in place, a lot of other things were demonized, and then they attempted to wipe them off the face of the earth. So it's not that a demon is an evil, soul-sucking, all the things that you've ever heard. That's what happens. Right now, if you ever had a fight, the person who asked you whooped, I guarantee you they're not calling you an angel. Okay, that's all.
Right. So yeah, so there's money demons, basically. You can use demons for money. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same energy, I think, of someone who is extremely diligent, right? and about their purpose, right? You might have to break down some walls. You might have to curse some people out. You might have to cut some people off. You know, they're not looking at you like you're the nice guy. They're not looking at you like you're an angel and like you're a holy being. They're looking at you, like you said, like you're an evil person, like you're a demon. You cut me off. You
Right,
separated yourself, right? Oh, you're new money now, right? Oh, you
right,
think you all that now, right? You started doing this. You think, oh, you think you this, right? They're looking at you like you're a demon, like you're evil.
right,
So it's really a matter of perspective. But I always say demonic energy, right? The best representation of that is the Sphinx, and where the woman's head represents you're managing your emotions, your inner self, and the body is the actual demon. It's the actual voracious, like you said, chaotic, out of control, out of control. You can't tame energy, right? But
right,
you can tame it, being that you are in this vessel if you are in tune with your emotions, or you're in tune with your spirituality, which is what the women represents. So
right,
the head of a man, the body of the animal, is you essentially in control of your demons. But there is
yeah,
a way to use that energy in a quote unquote positive manner, even though it's quote unquote called a demon.
right.
And demonology comes from King James
It do,
himself.
it do.
Yeah, that's where
Hmm.
the word comes from. It was Damon originally, and Damon was a genius, right? Because a
Right,
dog is a genius at being a dog. A cat is a genius at being a cat. An eagle is a genius at being an eagle. Just like your Uncle Larry was a genius at that dice game, you know?
right,
But people looked at Uncle Larry like a drunkard and a crazy person. But he knew how to, see those numbers. He knew what was going to play next. He was a genius at poker. So
yeah,
there's different elements for different things, like you might say somebody that's hustling dope, right, is an evil person, but
right,
maybe they know, grams, ounces, pounds, and how to calculate these things off the top of their head, no calculator, no nothing. So they're a genius at their craft. They're a genius at organizing a block. So a lot of things that we think are demonic are things that, I mean, shit, having a cell phone, right? Look at what
right.
happened to the kids in the Congo, for us to have a cell phone, for us to have a laptop. So, this like this morality thing is very, 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 very like, this canceling people for things that they think are quote unquote bad is
Yeah,
very subjective,
it is.
because if we really took it out of the objective realm, we all have done some things that are quote demonic, or are engaging in things that are quote unquote demonic.
One of the things that's interesting is in computer terminology, the controlling program that runs constantly in the background of your system is called a demon.
Mm.
And a lot of people don't realize how we are tricked with words, right? I was watching a newscast and this lady said the horrific beating. Now I have to admit I'm a hood chick, I come from the hood. But when I saw the pictures, I'm like, that's not horrific. It's a couple of scratches. You know what I'm saying? But they selling it. It's like everybody's always trying to sell you fear and sell you limitations and keep you in check. And if I'm honest, there are a lot of people who can't afford to be completely free because they hadn't grown to that place to be able to self-control. They don't know how to control themselves. They don't know how to act in a way that's honorable to themselves and others. So I don't want to see the destruction of societal systems or religion even, because it do serve a purpose. But I think that the issue is we need a lot more voices teaching people how to graduate.
Mm,
You don't stay in high school for the rest of your life. You
right.
wouldn't want. And spiritually, it's the same thing. You have to graduate into responsibility for yourself. And at that moment, you realize that there is chaos in me, and that's where creation comes from. And that creation can be anything that I want it to be. Good and evil are just judgments. And it's always, when you're looking at judgments, it's always about perspective or vantage point. From this vantage point, this is most definitely evil. But from this vantage point, you can understand some things. One of the things I love currently watching, we're binge watching Prison Break. I
Mm,
don't know if you ever saw it. It's like this guy, Michael Scofield, is brilliant. And he goes to get his brother because he knows his brother's innocent. And so he has the whole system of the prison tattooed on his body. But to get out and save this one innocent man, he has to break out several other people, right? But he's dealing with the consciousness of one of those people just dropping bodies. He killing all kind of folks. And he hate that's what it costs. But the alternative was they had strapped his brother in at one point. and just by the hair of his head, he didn't get electrocuted? Will you let your brother die to keep this guy who ain't got nothing to do with you in here, right? I think a lot of us, we don't understand that we have all potentialities inside of us, and demons and angels are representations of two things, but they're just one thing, really. And in that sense, it's that their energy. If you're working with a deity, you're working with a demon, you're working with an angel, you're working with energy. If you're working with a crystal, or if you're writing with a pen, you're still working with energy. And if you keep it pure like that, you can flow easier.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah, energy is all around us. It's really just what you do with it. You know, a lot of people, when you talk to them about magic or you talk to them about graduating past the Abrahamic religions and coming on this side where you're dealing with ancestors, the first thing people really deal with is fear. They're scared. They are, what if something possesses me? I'm like, well, you never drank like Hennessy on a Friday night at the party, at the club, right? Like, what do you like? You've already gone through many spiritual possessions, negative spiritual possessions, like with these drugs and just the neighborhoods that we live in and some of the situations that we encounter growing up, right? Where you have to be a certain way. You have to act, quote unquote, like a demon. So you already have gone through several negative spiritual possessions. It's not like it looks in the movies where your head is twisted, you know, twisting in the 360-degree motion, but you already have gone through many spiritual possessions. So now when you're on this side, it's basically you controlling that and you deciding, okay, is this the energy that I'm going to choose to use for this particular situation, or is this energy that you're not going to use on this particular situation? Like, I'm talking to you right now, but I know, like, from, you know, watching you for years, like your other side, you know, the Lucretia Hayes gangster side, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody sees you here, they're like, oh, it's Emme Rain, she's such a nice lady, you know, you all sweet and spiritual and all that. But like, I know the Scorpio side to you too that, you know, can sting, because I've heard a lot of your stories. So it's the same, it's this level of balance that now when you come into this type of independent thought, like, it's very entrepreneurial, the mystical side. It's very entrepreneurial, stepping into the occult world. No one's really going to hold your hand, right? Like, no one's really supposed to tell you you're supposed to do this or you're supposed to do that. Like, I know this sister right now, she's going through her initiation in Yoruba. And she's like, yo, I'm supposed to fast every Thursday. And, you know, she's fighting with it. And I'm like, you know, my body kind of tells me when to fast, you know, after doing this work from so many years. So I don't need to have a mandate to say, yo, this is the time for me to fast, or somebody telling me this is the time for me to fast. Now, as you said, some people do need that when you're first starting. You need to have some sort of guidepost. You need to have some sort of direction. But there comes a time where you should be graduating into doing a lot of things on your own.
Yes.
Talk to us about the importance of group money rituals. I know you do a lot of group money rituals and how that helps your community and things like that.
Poverty is a sickness. And so group money rituals, because most people they start with working on their self, their money, their household, whatever. But the thing is that none of us are in a bubble where we're not affected by other people's money situations. Perfect example, Walmart closing stores. Once people's dollar loses value, they spend less. That money goes a lot less places. You know, $100 used to do this, now don't do half of that. And it's and it affects everybody, business owner or otherwise. So group ritual helps us to keep the energy of money flowing so that people are aware of opportunities when they come. Sometimes, here's the reality. A lot of people that I do ritual for, the opportunity had been there forever. What was wrong is they wasn't aware of the opportunity. They wasn't looking for it. But as soon as they send me some money and say, okay, I'm doing this ritual with them, they're looking now for proof of this ritual working, and just them opening up allows that energy to flow. The other side of that too is that there are a lot of people who don't know how to do it for themselves. It's not that they don't want to, they just simply don't know how, and they're so full of doubt trying to figure out what I should and shouldn't do that they would do more damage to themselves than good, because ritual or energy work is clarity and intention, and it has to be a strong intention. So I do it for people who hadn't learned how to do it for themselves as well, to keep them active. And I do ritual in a public way to inspire other people to start living their life like that. It's like it's really possible to do ritual every day of your life for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. I'm proof of that, you know?
Talk to us a little bit, Em, about you know, a lot of people just coming in, right? As soon as they come in out the gate, boom, they see Emme Rain, right? The Maserati, the cars and everything, and they say, you know, I could do it too. Um, but we all know that there's a mindset that comes with that, right? And that there is a frame of thinking. Talk to us about the importance of self-talk when it comes to manifesting. And do you actually manifest things, or do you manifest opportunities?
It's a little bit of both. Um, So one of the things is deserve. You know, that word gets thrown around a lot, and it can be dangerous if it's not wielded right. Most people don't believe that they deserve to have. Every time I see somebody and they find out I have 5 automobiles, well, 6 with my husband's truck. But when they tell me, when they find out before he came along that I have 5 automobiles, it's like, what you need that for? Because we've been taught that the only thing we really need to be worried about is what we need, and above that is the things that we desire. And the way we think is like we only can get our desires when we done met our quota with whoever, whenever, right? But you deserve a life of ease, of grace, peace, and to enjoy this embodiment that you have. So you have to get in there and work through that mindset. If there's one thing I believe, Rob, and you've probably heard me say this a lot, there is not a single soul that is here or has ever been here and that will ever be here that's better than me. And I'm not better than anybody else, but there's definitely nobody better than me. So that means that if it becomes convenient for me to have a private plane, then I'm going to manifest that because I do deserve it, because I desire it now for whatever reason. If it becomes if it comes down to a time where I want to be on the water and I want to be able to afford to be on the water for a whole month, I deserve it as much as anybody else who has ever had it. And if you got to look at what you deserve everything you can manifest and maintain. That's another thing that I teach about dealing with that energy. You know how it is when things are big in your eyes. Bentley was big in my eyes. For that matter, a Range Rover was big in my eyes. I would have probably never pulled that trigger. My son went and bought me a Range Rover and called me up there, come bring your money. I done got you a Range Rover. And I'm like, I wasn't even ready for, I don't think I was ready for that. But the universe will open doors of opportunity and bring things into your life when you're ready, because you've been calling the experience. I call the experience of wealth, and I let that turn into whatever it is. Now I have a Range Rover, a Bentley, a Maserati, a Jag, and a Porsche, right? 2 convertibles and 3 luxury homes, and then all sorts of other properties. But I tell people this, don't think that you're going to get here overnight. And that's a stress you don't need. Set reasonable goals that challenge you sufficiently and let yourself grow. I didn't go and buy a luxury car as soon as I started making money. I didn't go buy clothes and red bottoms and purses when I started making money. I was putting that shit up like they're going to come in any moment. Just like the IRS will see my ass up. I need to put all this money up because I don't know what's going to happen. You know how it is when you ain't never had it. And then after a while, I started spending when I realized I knew what I was doing, but I started taking classes to learn how to manage money as well behind the scenes.
Yeah. Money is its own language, right? It's its own language, just like mysticism is. You know, you talk to some people in the money world about chakras, they're gonna be like, "What? What the hell is what the fuck is a chakra?" Right? If you talk to people about interest rates, and withdrawals and ACHs, right? They're gonna tell you all you need to know.
Right.
So part of being, I think like in this sense, you're very much of a polymath because you figured out how to do the business, like the way you do business. Like I trust me, I'm watching, and I'm looking, and I'm like, the way you do your business, like it's very effective, it's very powerful. The way you market your business is very effective, it's very powerful. And you could tell that when you're doing it, it's really because you want to help the people and you want to teach the people something about, their magical self and the magic that you actually have within you. Like a lot of times people think that the magic is from out there, I think, right? They think, okay, it's the Orisha or it's the angel or, it's Auntie Smith that passed away and I done gave her some Twix and, she provided this for me, right? And
Right.
all that is partially true, but most of it is you, right?
Yes.
Most of it comes from the heart space. Like you said, your desire to have the Range Rover, your desire to have these cars, your desire to have your own jet, right? All these things come from within. And you have to nurture these things with joy, right?
Right.
You have to
Yes.
make sure that you see yourself happy in these type of areas, happy in the private jet, happy in the Maserati, happy in the rain before they happen. I
Right.
remember watching Jay-Z and Dame Dash talk about before they became rich and how they would just drive around like elite neighborhoods and look at the houses, see the houses, see the homes. You have to put yourself, I'm a firm believer that you have to put yourself into these experiences that you think you're not supposed to be in.
Yeah.
It's like act as if you belong, so to speak, because
Mhm.
you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. The classism, especially in this country, but in most countries that have these kind of systems in place, but classism is a real thing. And a lot of us don't realize how much conditioning we've been under since birth, and so projects has its own energy. You literally can feel it, and I love home. I love when I get to go home, and I love being around my people, and I love still sitting around a barrel with a fire and talking shit around, that's my place of where I come from. But at that same time, that's not the only frequency available. And limiting yourself sometimes is why we look up and we're 50 and we're 60 and we're so unhappy, because all we thought we had the option for was that which is right in front of us. But our soul was crying for something else, because it knows, even if you can't get your mind to just allow that to be true for you and go on and have experiences like them. I used to go to upscale neighborhoods. I would go to nice restaurants. Sometimes me and my son, we started doing manifestation together. We would go to this really expensive restaurant. All we could afford was a salad and something to drink, but we would sit there and we would listen to the conversation and watch the movement and energy of the people. And before long, it'll change how you act. The way you speak will change. I speak way better than I did when I first started TV, and I am super country. I am country. I've never been trained for broadcast TV. And when I went into Fox that first time for an interview, people were like, "Are you the new anchor?" And I'm thinking to myself, "No, they don't think my country ass supposed to be an anchor, right?" But I looked up and they gave me a TV show, and now I have both of the channels. If you open the door, you'll be amazed at what can happen for you, and you don't have to hear all of these, because people are always trying to limit you. You got to have a degree, you got to have so much experience, you got to know somebody, you got to fuck the right person. It's always something. But all you really got to do is align this way, and you'll be amazed at what can happen for you and in your life.
A lot of black people, Emme Rain, they believe that people with money are wicked and evil. And two, you can't get it and keep it because the white man, right, is going to take it away from you.
Yeah.
What do you say to that type of, I feel like, and it's kind of a shame, but I feel like, I think based on what I see on these apps, a lot of people feel defeated. Like a lot of people, oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I'm black. Oh, I'm dark skinned. Oh, I'm this sexual orientation. Oh, I'm not tall enough if I'm a man. Oh, I'm not pretty enough if I'm a woman. There's like a lot of limitations. And I understand that it comes from the capitalistic industry or the capitalistic country that we're in, because let's face it, people get paid when they tell you that you need to do this or you need to do that. They give you a problem, right? Make you feel insecure, and then you have to come to them to buy the solution. So, problem, reaction, solution is big in the sales world as well as the philosophical controlling people world.
Yeah.
But what do you think is I guess what my question is, what do you think is do you think you have to hit the bottom to get to the point where you say, okay, I want to change that mentality, or is it something that you should be consciously changing every day?
I think that is something that we should consciously work on every day. There's no everybody that hit the bottom don't come back, you know. And I know we love a rebound story, but we have to be honest about how many people die with every bit of their potential in them. So daily working on it. There is a I was watching what's that guy named Tommy Davidson, and he was cracking up
Hmm.
about being in Alabama. He said, and this guy was so black. He said he was such a nigga that it scared me. He was like, "Boy, don't come in here talking loud. These people, this, that, and the third." And so a lot of us don't realize that there's a narrative being pushed to us to still show deference to the lighter skin, and the lightest skin getting the most deference, meaning white people. We don't see how much poison how many scary movies do you see with black people where the black person live all the way through it? Very few. They're normally the
Very.
first killed off. It's so common that we already can predict the movie as soon as we know who in it. You know, we are shocked when they live all the way
Hmm.
through. It's so many things like that, little subtle things, and even in the music, that causes us to have that fear. So I don't come down hard on people with the fear, but I tell people this: how you think and how you feel is your responsibility. And it's absolutely okay. When I got tired of being in that love struggle and I started focusing on my money, I cut Mary J. Blige ass off. I love me some Mary, but I don't listen to Mary like that. I ain't got time
Sad
for,
song.
you know. So you have to choose what you're gonna give yourself. This is the other thing. It's a lot of black rich people, a lot of them, and all of them ain't in basketball or sports. Or even though I had a neighbor who asked, basically, is that your man, a professional football player, is your son a rapper? Like, they trying to figure out how you get some money. It's like black people got brains. We can run businesses, we can compete on every field, and I think we need to see more of that. But I will say this, and this is probably gonna infuriate some people. I blame black people who have made it to success for trying to hide that away because they're afraid of being attacked. Because if we never can see it, it's hard to conceptualize some shit you ain't never seen. It's hard to really believe it can happen if there's nobody in front of you showing you the way. We have to have pioneers that show that, hey, black wealth is coming. The spending power is in the trillions. It's like, and that's not decreasing just because we're in an economic upheaval. Black people got spending power, which means they have the power to build and create and keep wealth.
Hmm. Yeah, it's I was looking at the population. I saw there was 41 million black people in America. There's
Wow.
131 white, 131 million Caucasian people in America. So it's crazy that with the 40 something million that we have more spending power than 100 and something million. We're
Yeah.
literally like a cash cow, so to speak,
Hmm.
black people. And it's like, a lot of it is investing in ourselves, investing
Right.
in ourselves and believing in ourselves. That's really where the start of the magic is. The magic, it
Right.
starts with the mentality, you believing in yourself, you knowing yourself, and you loving yourself, right?
Yeah.
And part of love is also setting boundaries,
Yeah.
because one of the things that happens is, I'm sure you know this, when you start getting some money, everybody starts coming with their hand out, right? And if you don't know how to set boundaries, you'll quickly become broke
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
fast. Or
That's
you just give your money out. If you don't have boundaries with yourself, you'll be caught up in every impulse. Say, I need to buy this. I need to buy the new Gucci, the new Louis, the new uh, Rolls Royce, the new Bent, and all that. And the next thing you know, you're broke with all these
yeah.
material items, but you can't even feed yourself or feed your family. So
That's
it's very important to understand. Go ahead, go ahead.
I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things I want to remind people of is this. It's a lot more ways to help people than giving them your money. I monetize everything around me. My son gave me 2 or 3 ideas for some products he wanted me to do. Then I start telling him it's time for you to do your own products. If you got the capacity to come up with ideas for me, you can come up with ideas for yourself. he started paying for a lot of other people to be in rituals. He just come in and give money for other people to be in rituals. Okay, it's time for you to start running your own, right? You done got to a place where you want to be over here participating with me and telling me what to do with mine. That means it's time, right, to be birthed out. My husband has been a barber for over 20 years, but he ain't never really been one to give facials. So I fooled around and found out that he could. And now he's offering that as a service. It's making him some money. It's like, as Black people, we have to come to a place where, and this is the thing, I don't ever feel guilty about turning somebody down who ain't willing to move their hand to put food in their mouth, right? So my grandmother used to say, it's a sorry dog that won't even, bend his own head to eat. It's like, I done brought you to the place, you can't do that. So when people come to me for money, they already know it's going to be something come with it. It's some details and some instructions behind it. Everybody got something that they can sell. Your personality can be sold. You might be the quietest person in the world and hear everything in the room. That's coaching. You know what I mean? That's therapy. So there is always something that can be sold. Some people clean, some people cook, some people, everything about your life has given you a big ass skill set that you just been sitting on because it's common. Just because you've been doing it forever for free don't mean you should do it forever, the rest of forever, for free. There's a way to make money, you being who you are.
Yeah, so everybody has $1 million story. I believe that it's all how it's packaged and sold and distributed. But everybody has a story. Everybody has some sort of skill. Everybody has some sort of greatness. And if your magic is not, and that's one of the reasons why we deal with honoring our ancestors and connecting with the ancestors, so you can get that guidance, so you could tap into what to do next, and also avoid some of the failures that they've went through, right? That's why a thorough study of history. Like I was watching Godfather of Harlem, right? And I was like, they was talking about Malcolm X, and I was just like going into some of my Malcolm X notes and stuff that I have. And I'm like, this guy really talked too much, As great as Malcolm was, he talked too much, and that was his downfall. There were times where he should have been quiet, or he should have shut up, or he should have, not said some of the things that he was saying, So there was a part where Elijah Muhammad was right. So I say all that to say that, history, a lot of people look at history and think, oh, look at what we went through and all that. But they went through that. So now you could move forward and use the lessons that they gave you, not to wallow, not to stay stuck, but so that you can move forward. And tapping into these ancestral energies is all about you elevating yourself and taking yourself to the next level and the highest level. It's not just about gathering things. You will get things, yes, but it's about you transforming so that you will walk and radiate such a powerful electromagnetic field, such a powerful aura, that these things will come to you without the candle, without wearing the crystals, without wearing, stepping in and creating the sigils and all that. You'll just become walking magic. That is really the goal, to become the highest of height. And all these things will be added to you. And, like people like yourself, like it's like, great to know that people like yourself exist, because you could show people that there is a blueprint, that you can do spiritual work, you can honor yourself, you can honor your story, and you could use that to make millions,
Right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things I would love to ask you, since we have at the state of spirituality for men, which is different for men and women. And I think that can be a little bit off-putting, because I see so many men with potentiality, but how are you finding it, getting across the veil, getting into a space with a man where he's able to receive? Because you got a lot of knowledge. I've been listening to you this whole time, and I'm like, boy, he just full of all this knowledge and all of this power. But do you find that it's easier for you to teach it to women than men, or how do you approach dealing with men and bringing them into mysticism?
That's a good question. I found that I have men that do consult with me, that do work with me and things like that. And, sometimes even extends from the YouTube on to, just us talking and things like that about various things. And But I do find it is easier. I'm not gonna lie. Dealing with women, women are more open to it. They're more amenable to spirituality. They kind of already have the sixth sense for it. Men is kind of they have to first trust you, right? They have to first know that you're. I think women they don't require the same amount of trust as
Right.
men do. They kind of already just open to it, and open to the spirituality and growing in that way. Men is kind of we're very terrestrial, so we're very get money, conquer, build something, fix the car, fix the house, it's very like terrestrial, this is the thing. So to take a man into the inner world is like for what? Like what is this for? You know? So you kind of have to show how these things work and how that it makes sense. Like, yes, you could still get money with this. Yes, you could still get the girls with this. In fact, you'll get more money. In fact, you'll get more girls. In fact, you'll be more attractive, right? To
Yeah.
attract to show them that these terrestrial things still matter, and it starts from the internal world. So when it comes to men, that's what I just try to show them, like, because most of the time we're just men, especially black men, we're just looking to win, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're not looking to be. But a lot of black men I've noticed feel defeated. They feel like they can't win. They feel like with black women and
Mhm.
society and all these different talking points that are out here, the white men, the government, the aliens, the chemtrails, the conspiracy, everything's a conspiracy, right? That's
Right.
what I get a lot from a lot of men. Everything is out to get you, and you have to realize as a man that nothing's out to get you, right? You're out to get it. You have to
Yeah.
have that competitive spirit, and part of that is working with your demons, right? You can't always
Yeah.
be a nice person. You can't always be a good, quote unquote, good a man, right? Because I think part of that is uh, a psychological spell, so to speak, because good is whose version of good. That's
Right.
subjective. Good is
Yeah.
subjective. So what is being a good man? Now you could be a fair man and you could be a firm man, right?
Yeah.
Fair and firm is what I my from my philosophy, that's what a man should be. Fair and firm. Know when
Mhm.
to, hold them, know when to fold them, know be emotionally intelligent, right? Enough to hold your baby or hold your girl and kiss her, rub her feet when the days are crazy, but firm enough to be like, you're not just gonna talk to me all crazy like this. Like, who you think
Yeah.
or this is where we're going, this is the decisions the family making, right? So forth and so on. And have reason and composure about yourself.
Yeah.
So it's part of your spiritual growth is tapping into those energies as a man, those certain deities like the Ogun, the Heru energies, those type of energies, or those male deity energies, or your ancestors, so to speak, that are going to help you reach the highest height of masculinity and it not be quote unquote toxic. Even though I don't really think there's a so thing as toxic masculinity. You could be a toxic person,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have anything to do with masculinity or femininity. If you're toxic, you're toxic. It has nothing to do with your gender.
I
But
agree.
yeah, just stepping into your godhood is easier for women, but for men, it's much more of a challenge because they're like, look, this ain't gonna make me money at the end of the day. Like, what do I need it for? And you have to let them know that life is more than just making money as well. When you
Right.
hit a certain financial pinnacle, it doesn't. If you don't have anybody that you love or anybody that loves you, really doesn't matter. I've been around a lot of people been have family that has a lot of money and things like that. And I've seen a lot of them miserable. Some happy, some miserable, but it's all about your mindset at the end of the day and how you view life. And part of the magical or the mystical journey, I would say, is perception. What your
Yeah.
perception of
Yeah.
life is. That's really the biggest thing. Is your third eye open? Most people only see it with two eyes. They only see what's in front of them. Your third eye, you see the universe. You see the whole universe. You see the whole world. You see the past, present, and future in front of you. So just nurturing that. Yeah. Long. Oh, come on. Long answer, but yeah, that's it.
No, no. I'm glad that you went
You still
into it.
there? Em?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Oh, I think it froze again.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. But yeah, I'm glad that you answered that because unfortunately, we have been as women very cruel to our men, especially black women. But that's purposeful too. It's a plant. It's like you said, a a spell. Because we can't sum up anybody's value based upon their credit score, how much money they have, and how many people they've slept with. That is just retarded, right? But a lot of us have been taught that for a man to be a good man, he needs to be a faithful man, right? Okay, well, let's work with that. What is faithful, and who is he supposed to be faithful to? Because before you came along, then who? So I think a lot of times we get lost in these concepts, even about relationship, and a lot of women have been hurt, and some of them have been dogged and really abused, right? But a lot of it is also that we have unreasonable expectations, and we put unreasonable expectations on ourselves. One of the things that I think have men running scared is because we social media is a double-edged sword. I love it. You can make a ton of money, you can make a ton of difference, but boy, a lot of dumb people post a lot of stupid shit. And that's part of it. And they're the loudest ones. And they usually have dumbass friends that's gonna agree. So it's common to find somebody, 1,000 people liking a post about how they sleeping with somebody else's man and then crying next week because he don't want you. It's like your whole setup, the argument that you're making is invalid. I love the fact that my husband did a lot of dating and a lot of sleeping, a lot of everything that he did when he was doing it, because the person that I got is a result of all of his experience before me. I can't discount any woman he's ever been with, any experience he's ever had, because all of that would change what I'm getting from him, right? We don't give room for people to have experiences that turn them into the very things that we want them to be. And that goes both ways, men and women and all that kind of stuff. My brother said something one time that I thought was funny. Somebody was trying to tell him about the lady he was getting ready to marry. And then he said, we done all had people. He said, and I like what she do to me. He said, I want to shake the man's hand who taught her how to do it. That's just the simplest thing, but I hadn't grown up yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some things you appreciate from experiences if you allow people to be what they are, people having an experience. And sometimes it's a time for us to have that experience together and sometimes not. But let's not say just because you might be broke and I'm broke, that ain't a good time for us to be communing. Right. But I can't call you a bad man just because you don't have money, because hell, I ain't got none either.
Right.
That's part of it. And I think that there definitely is a lot of room for men. And I'm glad, I am very, very, very happy to see you constantly doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. That means a lot in my cortisone, my heart. Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you, definitely, with the work you do. Yeah, I think it's just necessary for us to shake the tree a little bit. I think not a lot of men are teaching men. They're teaching men about women, but it's like, okay, I understand you want to be in a relationship, you want a good woman, but once you become a good man, I feel, well, not good, right? Once you become a God man, right? Once you come into your spirituality, women is the last thing you have to worry about. Like, they'll come to you. Like, I don't ever have to really worry about that in my life. The quote, the thing in my life is just maintaining with these rituals, staying in tune with nature, staying in tune with my work, and making sure that I'm focused on the right things that are going to take me to where I want to go and where I can maximize my highest potential. But as far as women, like, that'll be and a lot of younger men don't realize that. You think you need a whole bunch of money, you think you need a whole bunch of things, you think you need a whole bunch of this and that and all these external things, but you really don't. You need character.
Right.
Like, your character, right, will there's a certain way a woman will melt depending on your character. There's a certain way a woman will submit if you have a certain character. If she sees you're weak, if she sees, you following another man, if she sees that, you can't hold down yourself, you can't, then of course she's not going to respect you. And there's things that you have to learn. There's experiences that you have to have. If you have a negative experience with women, of course, I've had negative experiences in relationships, right? It's not about, I chose to sleep with them. So I have to figure out, okay, what is it that I learned from this relationship? What can I take? Okay, I wasn't setting a boundary here. Okay, I was allowing such and such to happen because she was beautiful and I was enamored by her beauty. So I let her say and do whatever she wanted to do, right? What is it that I should have done? She has these kids. How should I have handled the children when I was with them to show getting different, all these different ideas, right? I look back at these relationships and try to figure out how I can improve. And once I got out of victim mode, these women are doing this to me. These women are doing this to me. My mother did this to me as well. Wham, 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 right? Once I got out of that mode of crying about it and said, okay, what can I learn from these? My relationships got better, not only with women, just with people in general, dealing with people, even doing business or what I deal with as far as financial, dealing with them got better. So it's really just about you coming into a knowledge of self, a knowledge of self. And having the knowledge of self cause you to love yourself. Once you love yourself, you like yourself. When you start to respect yourself and you start to protect yourself, and you start to see red flags early on. When you
That's
set boundaries with people, they're going to let you know what they will try to go past your boundaries, and if they will respect your boundaries, and then to move forward from there. But we live in an abundant universe. There's no limit to men, there's no limit to women, there's no limit to potential partners. Nobody is out of your league, right? If you are a God being, there's no limit to your league. Like you said, the oversoul is everywhere. It's multidimensional. So
right.
who's out of your league, right? Who's to say that you can't get this person, whether you're 5'3", 6'3", overweight, underweight, right? Skinny, fat, whatever.
Right.
There's somebody for everybody. So as
Yeah.
long as you think that way, you will continue to attract that. But it takes you also being happy in who you are and enjoying who you are and loving who you are. And once you do that, all these other things start to become added to you.
Yeah.
And put it into work too, put it
Yeah.
into work. Put it into work. It's not just going to happen if you don't have an honest desire to change, and you're not going to put forth the risk that it takes to put yourself in certain positions to learn certain things. A lot of people don't want to take risks, is what I realized. They don't want to step out of their box. They don't want to step out of their comfort zone. They don't want anybody to talk about them. They don't want anybody to criticize them. They don't want anybody to say anything. They're comfortable. They're happy, and hey, that works for some people, right? But anybody that's on a sincere spiritual journey is like a tree. They're going to constantly be growing and constantly be branching off into different things, constantly be sprouting new leaves, and constantly want new growth in their life and new light and new information. I was reading, and then I'll go back to you, Em, but I was reading about Mark Cuban. He owns the Dallas Mavericks. And Mark Cuban, multi-billionaire, and he's like, look, I got all these books about AI. He's like, I got a book right here. He's looking at his couch. He's like, I got books in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I got books in my weight room. He's got all these, and he could just relax. He's already made the billions, right? But he's still trying to get to the next level, So imagine if we did that with now we doing that, but now we have spiritual connection to our ancestors. Now we're working with deities and new moons and full moons, right? We have now the spiritual understanding to go along with the prosperity and the technological things and the AI and all these things. That's Wakanda, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's where it's supposed to go. But if you don't have food, clothing, and shelter, first and foremost, you're not going to be able to get to even, you can't buy books, you can't buy crystals, you don't have no money, you can't eat well if you don't have any money. So the money is one of the first aspects, but it's not the only aspects. It's literally like tied to the root chakra. But it is something that you need. We all need money. We all need abundance, and we all need to know that we are abundant.
That's true. That's a good place for me to interject an opinion, not a fact, but it's an opinion that unfortunately people don't say a lot because it's uncomfortable to say. When you said that, it's hard for us to focus on our spirituality when your belly is growling, that whole thing, when your lights are off. But sometimes we make silly decisions because we start on half a leg. We jump off real strong with no plans. Magic and mysticism does not replace due diligence. If I had told a young lady, she was saying that it's this guy who loves her. He wants to take care of her. He loves her, blah, blah, blah. She had no job and she had no plan. And, and every now and again, she would talk to me about some guy who obviously is not invested in her. And I told her, I said, you know what? It's a lot of different ways to love a person. And it is a lot of different ways to build a community. You're chasing behind someone who can't improve your life at all, other than the fact that one day you may get him and the joy of succeeding is gonna, die away pretty quickly. And then what will be left? If you have an opportunity, if you got people that's in your life or around your life that want space and they're willing to enter into a beneficial and reciprocal relationship, some of us we have to weigh that as a thing. And then we have to learn how to appreciate our sources and resources. I think that some of our financial struggle is that we want to be prideful and at the same time we don't have anything to be prideful of. It's like when you don't know, you can't afford to be too picky about who's teaching you. You just need to be learning. When you don't have, you can't afford to be judging who's willing to give it to you. You need to just be in a space of receiving. And I think a lot of us, sometimes we're not able to do that. One of my first teachers was not somebody I would want to be seen with. I mean, he had the whole weird thing going on with the spirituality. And I remember the day that we decided we was going to meet at the Applebee's in my hometown, when I seen the white people over there, eyes do this, of course, and I'm like, oh my God, and he coming to it. You know what I'm saying? And I was check myself like, okay, because he has what you need. This is the person you pay for knowledge and information. You don't have time to be worried about all these people. And they stared at us the entire meal like this. It was quiet as hell. Even the servers, that was the quietest I ever heard a restaurant be. But shit like that before. And but I sat there and I got what I needed. Sometimes, loves, it's not going to come to you the way you want it to come. And that's okay. You can't afford to be. This is why we build ourselves up. Because as you build yourself up, you have options. You ain't going to have the same amount of options at ground zero as you're going to have at level 100. And you shouldn't expect that. We have to be sold out to the person that we say we want to become and let that person guide us right to it. It's like once you decide who you want to be, a homing beacon, a set off. So I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a trillionaire. I want to be the first Black female president, whatever the case may be. You set that goal going to start leading you if you'll listen. The goals say, make sure you get your degree. Make sure you get this. Make sure you do a double, have a double major. Make sure that you do this. Make sure that you're over here. And it'll tell you and you will listen and you'll be guided into that thing. That doesn't mean you won't be challenged. And some of the things are not going to be what you want to do, but you do them anyway.
Right. Yeah. That's a calling, right? When you say you're going to make this move and you're going to do this and you're going to transform, right? There's going to be some things that happen, right? People are going to fall out of your life. Right, things are going to change. You might lose the job. You might lose the home. Right, there's some sort of. I usually think there's some sort of challenge that comes like immediately once you say you're going to make a decision to make a move, and it's sort of to test you to see, are you really ready for the road that you say you want to walk upon? Are you really going to be able to handle what you say that you need and what you say that you deserve and what you want? And once you are able to master these challenges, right? Because there's no difficulty that can't be overcome. Right. It's all about you having a plan and a problem-solving mindset to know, okay, this situation happened, all right. And if you can't fix it even that day, just know that, okay, I have a plan to get there, or I have a plan that I'm going to work on diligently. Like you said, do your due diligence to get to where you want to become. I remember, I was working this job, right? And I had, this is funny. I had my screensaver, right? Was like my little, they have those messengers, whatever. And I was on Messenger, and my symbol was a Buddha, right? And I'm all spiritual and shit, and whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put the Buddha there, show my spirituality, express my spiritual self. But I'm in the financial industry, right? I'm doing things where I'm selling things, right? Right. So Spirit said, nigga, if you don't change this Buddha to something that represents what you're doing here, this ain't no Buddha. This ain't no Buddha center. This ain't no Buddha time, right? So I changed my shit real quick, right? To a man bringing, like a man holding bags of money, right? That's why I changed it to a melanated man holding bags of money. Do you know the next couple of months my sales increased like 70%? Just on something simple like that. Now, of
Yeah.
course, you know, when I put the symbol, I was thinking about it, right? And like representing what I wanted it to be. So putting my intention into that symbol while I
Wow.
placed it there and seeing it. But I still like, yeah, my sales increased over 70% over the next like 90 days. And it was like steady just by simply changing the symbol to represent the energy of what I wanted to manifest there. Right.
Wow.
So signs and symbols, sigils, and things like that are very important, especially I think around your home,
Yeah.
your office, things like that, that represent where you're trying to go and what you're trying to achieve. Because imagination is where the real magic is. Our imagination, right? Imagination, as Einstein said, is more important than intelligence. So if
Yeah.
you could see it, if you could visualize it, if you could put the energy of joy and love into it, and this is where I'm going to go. Eventually, it'll manifest. It may not be when you want it to, but it will
Yeah.
manifest.
It will. It will. Imagination is so powerful. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's a lot of people who say they're not able to visualize. And I've ran into that a lot where people say, I just can't quite picture it and I can't conceptualize. And when people are talking about that, they're talking about imagination. One of the things that has happened with us is that we have these high def situations with all our TV shows, our social media, everything is in high definition. And there's so much creativity out there that it will numb your own. And that's the reason why, even though right now, you don't really even have to open a book, you can do everything online. It really pays for you to read fictional stuff and let your mind paint a picture. If back when we used to read, I don't know if y'all used to talk about this or not, but one of your favorite books, they may make it into a movie and you always come away disappointed because the movie couldn't capture as much detail and feeling as your mind could and your body could experience as you were reading the book. It'll always be a fail. Your imagination is powerful, but it's a muscle and it has to be worked. And I think that
Mhm.
that's real important as well. The first law of the universe is that all is mind. You know, the universe is mental. So everything that has a physical component was first a thought. And so if you're not able to think and conceptualize, you are hindered right from the go.
Yeah, yeah, you got to think it. You got to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
Got to see it to in order for it to be a realistic concept. And like you said, you have to continue to water that flower, right? You have to continue to nurture it. And I think a lot of times we're caught up in trying to impress other people, right? I
Yeah.
always say one of the things I've noticed is when I'm manifesting, especially money or manifesting things coming to me, is I try to think of how it could help other people in my family, right? Or people that are close to me. So if I get this amount of money, what I could do with it to help my family, or what I could do with it to help my daughter, or how I could put myself in this position. So if I'm in a multi-room mansion, right? One of my
Mhm.
visualizations, I'm in a multi-room mansion. Okay, where's my daughter going to stay? Okay, if my oldest daughter decides to come, where she's going to be, right? Put myself in those positions with my, bunny slippers on and shit like that, right? Things like putting myself in these positions so that, and then
Yeah.
you'll start to see the universe will literally, it's crazy, but the universe will coalesce with you, and it'll be like you said, little breadcrumbs, right, on the road to see the Wizard of Oz, so to speak, right? Oz being your manifestation, but there'll be little like breadcrumbs on that road that'll be piece by piece. And part of having the third eye vision, or having doing, now we're talking about the work. I know you do a lot of meditation. I wouldn't deny that, but part of that work is to also hardwire that vision so that you can see the breadcrumbs, because most people have, I think everybody has breadcrumbs, and everybody has opportunities, everybody has places that, or escape routes, so to speak, but you just can't see it.
Mm.
You just don't have the perception. You don't have that third eye is not open. You're still looking from two eyes. So you can't see the opportunity, even if it's in front of you. Like
Right.
some people manifest their best woman, right? Their best man, right? This person has a soulmate that's really gonna like hold you and uphold you and guide you and show you things you've never seen before and help you hit the next level of your potential. But
Yeah.
you might see them as weak, right? You might see them as not cool enough, or not funny enough, or not tall enough, not thick enough, right? Whatever the case is, whatever your other preference that took you away from that great quality that that person had, right?
True.
So Yeah, I think perception, like I always say, perception is very important to your selections in life, and the diet, the spiritual work, the honoring your ancestors, the rituals, the new moon, full moon rituals, all these things are designed to put you in alignment with that highest form of perception. And once you have that God perception and you start to gain these spiritual abilities, the clairvoyance, the clairsentience, and all the other clairs and things like that, and the enhanced spiritual abilities, now the universe becomes open to you and you start
Mhm.
to pick and choose different things that you want. And that is when you get into that God level of creation, which I see you at now.
Thank you, thank you. And that's exactly how it is. You summed that up perfectly. That is the blueprint. It really is. And believe it or not, it doesn't require us to just start doing a whole lot of things we're not already doing. You know, your bath is already a ritual. Just add your intention. You're already cooking, you're already eating, you're already drinking. Just add your intention. And then, you know, take care to hear and wait on, because I think a lot of us too are rushing through it. When I first started, I would sit and sit and sit and sit. And nowadays I'm too busy to sit like that. And I miss them days of being able to sit and just wait on all of this approach. I was fortunate. I was living with my son when I started practicing magic. I didn't have a lot of responsibility. All of us aren't in that situation. But I think that no matter how busy you are, if you're so busy that you can't carve out any time for yourself to be developed and to be loved, for you to practice self-care, any of that, then you're too busy. And no matter, because a lot of us are working 2, 3 jobs to pay bills at houses that we're never in because we work 2 or 3 jobs,
Hmm.
and that's robbery. It's really slavery. But because we're getting a check, we don't realize we're still enslaved.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Slavery's in various forms, and the biggest form is mental, and being a slave to the dollar. A lot of
Yeah,
people are slaves to impressing other people. You know, they're
yeah.
doing this to stun on other people. They're doing this to shine on other people. And it's not really about that because at the end of the day, most people don't give a shit.
They
Yeah,
don't.
they might talk about it. They might say, "Oh, it's a nice costume," but at the end of the day, they're talking about you. They trying to find something. They're looking at your flaws. They try to see what in you that cracks, right? They're trying to
Right.
take you down a notch or take you down a level. So most people really don't love you when you're successful. In fact, it's the minority. And it's usually people that are already successful like you or in your tax bracket or just love you just because they love, your dirty drawers or whatever. But what I found is most people are haters. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And
Most
it's
people are haters.
that we have to say that, but it's true, and it is true. I think it's intimidating to sit next to someone when you believe that they got what they got because there's something special or different about them, and not acknowledge their hard work. People are always talking about Beyonce, for instance. They talk, and I'm a big Beyonce fan for a lot of reasons. I have met a lot of people who sing better, but that girl has basically developed into a woman in front of our eyes, and most of us still don't know a damn thing about her, right? It's like she's present but still very private, and the way that she operates, and of course that's what gives rise to conspiracy theories. And the reality is that it takes a lot of hard work to be great at anything. Michael Jordan will forever be mentioned as one of the GOATs. But I remember when he was actually playing, people used to complain about this and complain about
Hmm.
that. Of course, he had a lot of great highlights. Now everything is a highlight reel, but they could just as easily go back and you could find out when he first started playing, he sucked. You know what I'm saying? He had
Yeah,
to
yeah.
work to it. He had the height, and he had dribble skills, but he didn't have the hops at first. He developed the hops from hard work, and a lot of us, it's just easier for us to just discount them. They lucky they knew somebody, they slept with the right person, whatever. You don't want to think hard work because in your mind you've been working hard and that shit ain't got you nowhere. But it's not just working hard, period. It's working
Hmm.
hard in alignment with what it is that you really want to do.
Hmm.
I'm never gonna feel happy if all my hard work is at somebody, master's foot, whatever that is, whatever plant that is, whatever business that is. I don't get any of the benefit of seeing this business grow or whatever. I get a check. I'm not invested. But if that was my business, and I see myself hitting goals, and I see myself, going through all of these different transitions, becoming from a small business to a major corporation, you're gonna feel that. It feels different. And a lot of us, we do hate anyone who makes us feel intimidated. In fact, I got a class I plan to do soon for Pretty Girl Survivor type of class, because if you're too pretty, no matter what people say, inside their heart, as soon as you walk through the door, you can feel the energy. Look at her with her big old ass. All of us women feel funny. It's like, I know my husband gonna look. I know this person is looking. My ass is suddenly flat. Everywhere I go, I find women who say stuff like, girl, I need your booty. It's like, we don't have to compare asses. You know what I mean? Because for all intents and purposes, we both do the same thing for whoever we're doing it with, right? So the truth of the matter is, no matter how big my butt is or how pretty her face is, Halle Berry got cheated on, but we often get intimidated around beautiful women. We get intimidated around powerful men. It's like, oh, he got to be sleeping with a whole bunch of people because I know women are always at him. That don't mean he want everybody that comes his way. If he tells you he loves you, why are you worried about who else he may have ever loved? You all out of place. Here we are right here. Get in this spot. But yeah, intimidation creates haters. That's what it is, you know?
Yeah. That kills a lot of relationships too. Like, I've left some women just because of that, because it's like, you always think, okay, yeah, I know women are this, I know women are that. It's like, yo, like, I'm with you though. Like, I'm right here with you. Like, why do you, so your fear is overriding your present, like what you have right here. Like, your perception is flawed. You're thinking about the worst outcomes all the time. And usually what I find with people like that is they're not only thinking about the worst outcome with you, that you're with 25 women, but they think about the worst outcomes for themselves as well.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst things that could happen first? And you have to think about you got to think, especially us, especially Black people, thinking glass half full. I think because from these environments and where we live, we tend not to think glass half full. We think glass half empty first. And I know I was a byproduct of that for a long time. Always thought the worst, always thought somebody was after me, always thought that, I wouldn't be able to make it because of this and that. But once you start shifting and become glass half full and realize that the universe, not just Black community, not just the white community, not the Spanish, but the universe, everybody in it is your oyster, and it's here to work for you. It's here to make your life great. And really, you have to look at life. That's really, to me, the most optimal way. Everyone is here to serve you. Everyone is here to make sure your life is good. And especially the people that you choose to have close to you, they're here to make sure you have a better life. And as long as you look at things like that, things will start to change. Your life will start to shape itself around that, because you can't put that energy out there being an electromagnetic being and that magnetism not come towards you. It has to. It's really just waiting for you and your perception and your train of thought to be an alignment, and your emotions, right? I don't want to leave out the emotions, to be in alignment with that you say that you want. And then these things will start to come to you slowly but surely.
It's true.
And I had you for about 2 hours. I appreciate your time. I won't take too much more on this beautiful Sunday. Tell us where we could find you. Actually, before that, we'll close. I want to ask you this, because you've already done a lot in the time frame that I've known you. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
A real estate mogul, headed that way. I love real estate, and I love land development. I'm learning agricultural stuff. Don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet, but I'm going that direction. I also want to see myself in a position where I have power to decide about broadcasting. So I started in Boston Entertainment. I hadn't done anything with it per se, other than put my show under that label. But in 10 years, I'm going to have a whole production company. I'm going to be doing like shorts and stuff and producing all kinds of stuff. I just believe it. I think that we also need more Black people in that field, more Black consciously aware people in that place to show a different narrative. It's time for us to become a part of the people who broadcast. and project, because it's just a projection. And so if what I project can change the world, why not project what I want the world to look like, you know? So that's what I'm headed toward now.
Gotcha. Yeah. To me, whenever I see you, you're like the mystical Oprah. Like, yeah, I feel like you're like what Oprah should be if Oprah knew what you knew. You know, like
Mm.
your delivery, your way of speaking to the people is it's very like how do I say it? It's very comforting. It's very you know, like feels like you're talking to a sister for real. You know, like you're talking to somebody who knows you, who understands what you're going through. So definitely check M. Tell them where they can find you, all the things you have going on. Yeah, we'll close out with that.
So you can follow me on Facebook. I have 3 pages, Lucretia Moore, and 2 Emme Rain pages. You can find, I have a page at Magickal Mystic. And I'm also on Instagram, Emme Rain Official and Magickal Mystic. We have a YouTube channel, which is Emme Rain. And I think I have Twitter, and that's Coach Lucretia. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. I'm even on TikTok. I ain't got many videos up, but I'm trying to do something with that. And then my website is magicalmystic.com for all your spiritual accessories, oils, candles, my own fragrance line, bath salts, all of that, statues, gear, classes, that kind of thing. And then I have 2 schools, online schools. One is Divinity Academy. It's all spiritual courses, occultism, metaphysics, that kind of thing. And it's divinityacademy.com. And then we have the legacybuildersacademy.com. And that is all business legacy related. It's everything from credit repair to starting your own business to marketing to branding. We do all of that there. And then, of course, if you're interested in a television show that airs in Louisiana, it is called Moments of Mindfulness. And if you're somewhere outside of the Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi area where it airs, you can watch it online at myarklamiss.com, and you'll just click in Moments of Mindfulness and it'll come up. And I think I'm gonna stop right there. I do have a publishing company. It's called Lanaco Media House. We did reopen and start taking submissions again this year. And of course, I am a published author. So there's Lucretia Hayes books. Those are all Christian. Okay. But I am now writing under Emme Rain, and it's all the spiritual stuff. And I keep both of them active because, you know, they pay the bills, and Christians need help too.
All right. Christians need this mystical work too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Junkyard Jedi said you the Oracle Oprah. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's how I see you, the Oracle
That's
Oprah.
cool.
Yeah, I know you do readings. You got a lot going on over there with the products and the services, the TV show, everything. And it is a super honor. I can't say this enough. I'm very grateful from my heart for you to even extend this time to me. You know, you told me some things behind the scenes. I am going to integrate. I am going to be picking your brain as I move forward down this journey, because a lot of things are changing in that as well. And I just thank you. Anything you want to tell the people or give the people before we go?
Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you, Rob. I hope that you guys are sharing him. I think we have a duty to share people who bring something important into our lives. If you love him, don't only subscribe and turn on your notifications, turn on your family, turn on your friends. They might make a decision not to follow, but don't let it be because you never exposed them to him. So do your due diligence and support other spiritual teachers, especially those who take 2 hours out of their Sunday. He could have been dating, or he could have been eating or barbecuing or anything, but he's here with you guys. So definitely honor that. Always honor those people who feed you.
I appreciate that, Emme Rain. Thank you so much. Yeah. Honor me, nigga. With that said, shout out to everybody who's here. Thank you for taking the time. Yeah, I'll be shortly. I'm out of jail, fresh out of YouTube jail. So I'll be back on y'all regularly scheduled programs. Y'all should see me. If not, tomorrow, Tuesday, I'll drop a video for y'all because I know y'all been missing me. I appreciate. Shout out to all the new subscribers. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share button. Go follow Emme Rain. She's always going live on Facebook. I don't know if she's going live on Instagram, but she's on Instagram. She's on all the platforms. She's doing well for herself. Get you some of that mystical knowledge. This is not enough to tell you the breadth of knowledge and wisdom that she has. And I say that with all humility. Like, this 2 hours is not enough. She has a trunk load of knowledge, right? Elephant sized knowledge. So definitely tap into that. With that said, peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Blackstorm, Emme Rain, we out.